Hello and welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Shirlee Williams with us. She is a certified coach, registered yoga teacher, breathwork facilitator, and energy amplifier. Shirlee, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you, Mama T.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, I feel called to talk. Let's talk about energy amplification. So, how do you define
Mm,
being an energy amplifier?
yeah, it's a great question. Well, everything is energy, right? We're all just vibrating at different frequencies. And so the way I think about it is we attract what we're putting out, like the frequency that we're putting out. And I know I'm like speaking your language also, but that's my gig. Like I am here in this world, in this human form, to shine bright so that others find me, like this like lighthouse, this beacon of light. I am my own lighthouse, but in creating my own lighthouse, I am reflecting back to the universe what people need to see in themselves. And I really feel called to like continue to do that. And so it doesn't mean that life isn't going to be hard, and it doesn't mean like shitty things aren't going to happen, because that's all true in our human form. But how we respond to that is the key. And that's like the mindset piece for me, you know?
Yes. I love that you said lighthouse because whenever I'm like, sitting in like meditation and thinking about how I'm connecting to people and bringing people, whether it's in like clients to my business, listeners to the podcast, I envision being a lighthouse, just like reaching out to the world. So I was like, oh, this is so like synchronistic, so perfect.
It's so amazing. Like, I mean, I talk about this a lot because for people who don't know, like, what does that mean? You're amplifying energy or you're attracting what you're put. And I always think, like, if you've ever walked into a room and someone across the room, like, if you've walked into a room with complete strangers and someone across the room, like, catches your eye and you're like, I don't know, but I feel like I need to go that way. That's the energy amplifier, right? Whereas like if you walk into a room of people you don't know and there's like one person on the other side of the room, you're like, I don't know what's up with this one, but I'm going to go the other way. It's like almost beyond words or language. It's like a feeling of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I notice when I talk to different people, like some people will be like, oh, that's like hogwash crap, whatever. But then they'll turn around and contradict their conversation by being like, oh, well, like I was in this place, just like you said, I was in this place and I felt like awkward being around this person. So I didn't talk to them. And lo and behold, I found out that they did XYZ thing that they don't resonate with. And it's just like, you literally just said that.
Right, right. You feel it before, but then it's somehow beyond logic. So the logical mind wants to try and explain like what it is that you're feeling, and it doesn't even make sense. I had this thing this weekend. I just coming out of a retreat. I led 40 women through like a transformational weekend, and I was invited as the guest. So I didn't even host it, which was like really lovely. So now I'm like energetically putting more of that out. Like just hire me, I'll come and do all the things. But the first night we did a cord cutting ceremony. And for most of these women, it was like the most bizarre thing. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? I could see them like, moving in their chairs and rolling their eyes and like looking over at the event coordinator thinking like, really? This is what we're. And I said it. I said, just buy into this. Like, even if you don't believe it, could you imagine for like one moment that we could cut our energy off from like some bad juju? Like, what would that feel like in your body? So, of course, everyone played the game, and it took almost the whole weekend of some of these women to get to know me, to like come up after and be like, I don't know that I fully buy into it, but I definitely felt different at the end.
Yeah.
It's
Can
so
you
crazy.
go into a little bit more about like describing what cord cutting is for someone that
Yeah.
might not?
Yeah. So here's a cool story I just shared this on my Instagram, but about 5 months ago, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was leading a cord cutting ceremony, and I had like a piece of tinfoil and I had candles, and I was like, in my dream, I was like tying a piece of cord. And about 5 months ago, I actually didn't even know what a cord cutting ceremony was. I talk about energy and like releasing it. I do a lot of burning shit in the fire, but I didn't actually know what that was. And so I woke up in the morning and I felt, I was just looking to see if I had it here. I felt super compelled to write down everything. And it included like affirmations in my dream. And so I took as many notes as I could remember. And I was like, that was really weird. Like, what is that a thing? And so, of course, I went to Google because Google knows everything. And I put in cord cutting ceremony, and all these YouTube videos of cord cutting ceremonies came up. I think mine was better than that. But, then the logical mind is like, well, I probably heard about it somewhere and I was but literally I was like, oh, that's a cord cutting ceremony. That makes sense. And I didn't know why I documented the whole thing. And then I showed up at this event and I was like, they need a cord cutting ceremony. Like I could feel into it before I got there. And so that's what I provided. So it's like the universe was like preparing me. But basically a cord cutting ceremony is because we're all energy and we get kind of attached to people, places, and things. And some of it is negative things. And I don't love to use the word negative, but maybe for this example, it's a good one. But for things that don't longer serve us or they feel yucky, but we don't know how to like get rid of it. It's like a gentle exorcism for your psyche, let's say. And where you're taking a cord and you have two candles. So one represents you and one represents the other thing, which could be another person, a place, a thing, a job maybe that you're looking to like unattach from energetically. And you tie the string around the candles and you light it. And as it's burning down, I think the highest vibration you can be in is gratitude. So I love to have people like, what are the things you've learned from that experience? Can you find gratitude for those? So as you're watching the separation take place, you're offering gratitude for all those experiences. And by the time the candles burn down and the string gets burnt down, the idea is that you are unattached energetically from whatever the thing was.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
It's so powerful.
That is so, I love the visual act. Like I can see myself doing it. And
right? Yeah.
For myself, when I do like cord cutting, like I have two selenite knives, if you will. Okay. And so I kind of like envision like I like cutting all around my body, and like that's kind of my method to doing it. So I love your method as well. And that's, I want to say, as we develop our own personal practices, there's no like right or wrong. It's just like, how do you energetically feel? Does it feel complete? Does it feel good to you? So that's one of the things I love to play with, especially like as I'm opening my own membership community. Like one of the things is like bringing in ritual and like, how do we play without having any sort of like religious attachment to it, but just like what puts you into a vibration that really feels more connected to what it is that you desire to experience.
Oh, I love that. And also the freedom to explore what might work for you. Yes. Like people are like, well, because when I started watching some of the YouTube videos, people had like special candles and then they rolled them in other herbs and spices that would like, and I was like, that's all great. But really, like, we were in the middle of nowhere. I grabbed some birthday candles, like it whatever feels good,
I love it. Like one of my mentors, and like I've done courses on candle magic, and like you said, rolling in the glitter and the herbs and all this stuff. And she taught us that, but she also said, use whatever you have. Like it's not the candle that's the magic. It's like it's all you and your energy. So a birthday candle is perfect. And she was like, one of my most powerful spells, if you will, was with like a tiny tea candle, and like I wrote something down and I lit it, and like the thing showed up so quickly. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So it's not the thing, it's the you.
Yeah. And it's the intention. I kind of feel like anything we do with intention becomes a sacred practice.
Oh, yes.
Like it doesn't have to be, you don't need the best. Like I chat with women and they're like, well, I have no space and where am I going to do this? And then I'm like, just put your intention behind it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the thing is. It's the intention that's coming forth with it. I think that's so important.
It's so important. I want to shift the conversation a little to like the allowing, because I heard you say you had the dream like 5 months ago, and then it took like months for this opportunity to be a guest at the retreat. How do you practice? Okay, like this is something I don't know what to do with it right now, but I know it's gonna like show up for me later, and like having that trust and that pathway and kind of just allowing things to
Oh,
just show up.
good question. Oh, I love that one. I've been thinking a lot about that because sometimes when there's no evidence, we forget,
Mhm.
right? Like we saw something and we're like, that's a cool coincidence, and we mark it off as a coincidence and we go about our day. But I talk about like these following the breadcrumbs, and I think it takes an extreme amount of trust with that. That I don't believe that there's anything as such as a coincidence. I think
Mhm.
everything happens in the order that it's supposed to for us to grow and transform and evolve. And we really are spiritual beings having a human experience. And if we're not giving ourselves enough space, that's when we're missing the things.
Mhm.
So for me, going back to the question, is I really trust the process. So even if something doesn't make sense, I don't discount it, I document it,
Ooh.
and it's in the documentation that really like brings me back. So I'm always like, not always. I mean, sometimes I mess up and I don't pay attention. We're busy.
Mhm.
But I really try to be present to all that's coming in for me because I never feel like, oh, I wonder why this is happening to me. There's this like curiosity piece that I stay with that like reminds me like, oh, right, I'm going to stay curious because that was a really weird dream. I don't know what that was about, but let's make some notes and see what happens, you know? And then I go back to things. I used to do this thing where I would like leave notes all over the place, but I would never refer to them again. And then I would find notes everywhere and I'd be like, oh yeah, remember when? So it's like if we're paying attention and we believe that we're on the path of transformation and everything is happening for us, then every piece is like another piece to where we're going. It's like a map that's like
Mhm.
kind of just leading you there.
Yeah. It's like, I'm like, you're got your Google Maps in front of you, and you just have to do the next step and the next step and the next step. And you don't get the opportunity to see the full map already. So I feel like, when we're driving, we're like, okay, well, I can kind of see how this works and the lines if we're looking at the Google Maps, but life isn't that way. So you just got to know, okay, this is the next step. This is the next step.
Right.
And we'll see
Yeah.
where it comes from.
How do you stay present to that? Do you have
Oh,
a
like I do from time to time, I'll like put something in my notes section of my phone or whatever. And I know that like I definitely need to be better about documentation and journaling. And so that's my radical responsibility to pay attention to those
Mm.
things. But I know I'm also like I balance between let me get into the quantum and meditation and like that. And then I'm like, reminder, I am a human. I need to human. I need to live. I can't just sit
Right?
meditation all day. But that allowing myself the space every day to just like be gives me more of like the space to remember and more of the space to
Mm.
stay awake and aware and make sure that moment to moment I'm catching myself. And even if I'm speaking, and let's say like I'm at the bar with my friends and I'm speaking to someone and I notice I say something, that I no longer serves me, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. Being over 30 is old or something like that. I
Right.
catch myself being
Right.
like, oh, my back aches and I catch myself. I'm like, no, actually, I take it back. Like I'm young and vivacious and like all these things. And like I will correct myself in the moment because I don't want
Yeah.
to, lean back into that old energy. And so those are the things that I find really important is like catching ourselves moment to moment when we are stepping out of alignment with whatever it is that we're looking to create or experience.
Isn't it amazing though how quick we can fall back into that? Like
Oh yeah.
sometimes I'll say shit about myself and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's not what I meant. That's not let me rephrase. And I'm always amazed at how quickly I could just like fall back into it. I do that with my body. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, what's the point of even going to the gym? Look at my belly, kind of thing." And then I'm like, "No, stop it. Don't go there. Your belly is beautiful. Keep moving your body. How do you feel? I feel great, you know? So it's constantly reframing. If we're not aware, man, I'll fall right back into that sitting on the couch eating potato chips.
Yes, exactly. And I love the reframing. And that's actually one of my, I have an Activate Your Inner Shift meditation series. And that's one of the like, of the four stages is the reframe, right? Like there's no shaming ourselves for doing whatever it is or backsliding, if you will. It's just a reminder. And I always say like thank you when I like notice it. I'm like, oh, thank you for
Right.
reminding me that this is still within me. And I get to keep practicing, letting it go. And then one day I'm gonna say something without even thinking about it. And it's gonna be like it's now an unconscious part of me of what I really actually do want. And I'm going to be like so excited and get to celebrate that too.
Oh my God, I love that you said like, thanking it. Wow, thanks for showing up again. It just means that I'm like still doing this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to be nicer with
Oh,
ourselves.
yeah. Giving ourselves grace is just
Oh,
so beautiful.
right, right, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And in the energy of giving, I want to take this time to give you a tarot reading. So, do you have a specific question or do you want just like a general message?
A specific question would be, does it have to be like an open-ended question or can it be a yes or no question?
Do whatever you want.
So my question is, I feel like I'm in a real place of transformation right now for myself and for the world, to be quite honest. And I'm really curious to know if I'm on the right path. Like, I'm starting to doubt myself a little bit, and I don't know if the doubt is there to protect me, for me to pivot again, or to see how badly do you want this? Keep
Mm.
go, Yeah.
All right, let's happen. Ooh, all sorts of cards.
I have like butterflies in my stomach.
I love it. I think you already know the answer, but first we have the Seven of Swords, which is, I feel like this is an invitation to not betray yourself. Like you already know what you want, you know where
Mm.
you're going. So if you are leaning into that like not making the pivot that you feel called to make, then that's the betrayal, right? That's the self-betrayal because you already put down, we have the Knight of Pentacles here. So you've already put down the framework, the seeds and everything, and you're building a legacy. So you're really just being called to keep going, keep that momentum going. Don't stop, go forward. So
Mm.
keep going. Let the transformation happen and show up for you.
It's hard.
I know, but you got it. And I'm excited to see how you're going to grow and like blossom from this moment.
Thank you. It's interesting because the limiting, not so, I mean, I guess the limiting belief for me comes up in the form of age.
Mm.
Like, how many more times do I need to pivot? Like, I'm going to be 55 in November. And I'm thinking, I still feel like I'm 30. Like, you were like, I'm using this example of like, I'm 30 and I'm old. And I'm like, really? I got 25 years on you. But it's this idea of like I feel like the limiting belief is, oh my God, I gotta pivot again. Like I'm gonna be 55 in November. And then the reframe is, oh my God, I'm so wise, I know so much more that I get to like pivot again,
Yeah.
because it's not really an age thing. I just had a woman on my podcast. She started her whole transformation after, I think it was like after 65, and she like did
Mm.
like an oracle card training and a human design training, and now she's in the world of spirituality and helping other women, and and it was this whole idea of like age is really just a number,
Yeah.
like if you feel called to do something, go and do it, right? So good. Thank you.
So good. It's
Thank you.
beautiful. It's wonderful. And we have so much time, you know, like time is such an illusion. And
Good thing time, eh?
yeah. And, you know, like it's like everyone, like everything shows up for me in divine timing. And so I think there's like the human is like, we need everything now. But like if we have everything now, then we don't get to experience life. And then you might as well just like, and so what's the point?
Right. I feel that way too. And I think like when for me, when I'm coaching women, it's always like, I just don't have enough time. And I'm like, that's just an excuse. Like, I remember I had a moment where I thought that I was like, God, I just don't have enough time to do this. And then I was sitting in front of the television watching Netflix, and it was like episode 8 where Netflix says, "Are you still watching?" Because you've been
Yep.
watching for so long. It's like checking that you still want, like the universe is like, "Are you still wasting time over here?" And I called myself out on it. I had a real laugh with myself because I was like, I've just binge watched 8 episodes of whatever, and each episode was like 48 minutes. So that's like 8 hours of something that I'm never going to get back. And I'm actually use the words, I don't have enough time. So my reframe is always, I have not prioritized well enough to get the things in that I wanted to do.
Ooh. I
Right?
love
It's
that
like
reframe. Yes.
right? And so it's just, I always say there's a quote in the meditation yoga world that says, if a busy person tells you that they don't have time to meditate every day, they should be meditating twice a day.
Mm.
Right? Yeah. Sit your ass down.
Yes. Just be for a little bit.
Yeah.
Perfection. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today?
My biggest mission or legacy that I want to leave in the world, the imprint that I want to leave, is to remind women that we are meant to be living an extraordinary life.
Mm.
And if life is not feeling extraordinary for you, keep going. Keep pivoting, keep asking curious questions, and keep showing up. You said it earlier, like one step in front of the other, like an object in motion stays in motion. And so I know this always rubs people the wrong way, but I always say if you don't have what you truly desire, it's either because you haven't been clear enough or you haven't been working long enough at something. So don't give up. Don't give up. People quit way too soon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's like so many memes out there where it's just like showing, oh, like someone digging a hole or whatever, and they're trying to get to the treasure, and there's literally like one shovel scoop away, and then they turn around and it's just like the treasure was right there. Just keep
Right.
going, keep
Yeah.
searching.
There's the story of Walt Disney. He went, I don't know how many banks he went to look at getting a loan for this whole Walt Disney thing, all of these movies, childhood movies that we've all grown up with. But it was a lot of banks that turned him away. Like if he would have
Like
quit,
30 something, I feel like.
right? We would never have had all of our childhood memories with all of those beautiful movies that shaped who we were. Now of course we're reframing all of that, but in the time then it seemed like a good idea.
Right. Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time and energy today, Shirley.
Thank you.
If people want to connect with you, what's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on Instagram, probably too much. Shirlee Williams Coaching, and that's Shirley with 2 E's. I started a TikTok account a little while ago, and I am having fun with that. So it's also under Shirlee Williams. Might even be Shirlee Williams Coaching. And then my website is shirleywilliams.com. And all the things are there. I run in-person retreats. I do lots of stuff online. I run international retreats. So if anyone wants to get on a plane and fly to Costa Rica, I'm there too. So yeah, it's lots of fun.
I love it. I love it. And all of the links will be in the show notes, so you guys can check that out as well. Thank you so much, Shirley.
Thank you.
And remember, everyone, like, share, subscribe. You can also go to www.mamateenergy.com for access to all the fun things that I have going on. And remember to just live an extraordinary life.
Thank you.